Everybody, this is live stream. Chris Carfy, COO at Unlock Protocol, here with David Ehrlichman from HATS Protocol. Thanks everybody for joining us. David, how are you doing?
Doing great. Good to be here with you.
Excellent. And heard it was a little bit windy up by you.
Very windy. We lost power. We didn't even have cell service anymore.
Oh,
I had to
man.
drive around to even get connection. Yeah, 500,000 people without power here. So but I found
Oh, are you Pacific Northwest?
Yep.
Okay.
Seattle area.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah, thank you for joining us, and thanks everybody for joining us here on the stream as well. We're going to talk a little bit about what is HATS, a little quick intro of what is Unlock after that, and then we'll talk about this integration. So, David, for folks who might not be familiar with HATS, could you give folks a little bit of an overview?
Yeah, sure. HATS protocol is the roles and permissions protocol for the decentralized internet. And so a hat, the meme is you wear many hats in an organization. So a hat is a role. And a role bundles a number of things. A role bundles the responsibilities and commitments of that role. It bundles the real permissions and authorities, powers that role comes with. That could be any number of things from access to certain communication channels and workspaces, to voting power, to the ability to create proposals for a vote, to control of resources, signing authority on safe multisigs, and any number of powers you can imagine across the internet. And then the third bucket is accountabilities. How do we actually hold people accountable to following through on their commitments and their responsibilities, and ensure that they have the right permissions at the right times under the right conditions. And so HATS protocol bundles those three things, and it provides a way for organizations to clarify the roles in their organization in a fairly transparent, collectively governed way. Also give the people who are holding those roles the real permissions and powers they need to do work and spend resources and have voting power and have access to channels and whatnot across the internet in a way that's highly interoperable with many different types of tools, as well as in a way that can be revoked either manually or under certain conditions, which is the third bucket, the accountabilities, that somebody can only hold these roles and have these powers as long as they fulfill X, Y, and Z conditions. And those can be tied to any type of on-chain data, because this is a protocol, a EVM equivalent protocol built using blockchain, that it can read any type of data that's brought on chain and automatically grant or revoke the roles and permissions based on that data. And that could be things like having certain amount of tokens or NFTs in your wallet. If you fall below that threshold, your role and its powers are automatically revoked. It could be things like winning an election. Only the top election winners can be signers on the safe multisig. Or it could be things like having an unlocked subscription, being an active subscriber, or paying a membership fee to join a community. And the moment when your subscription expires, you lose your role, you lose your access, but you can renew your subscription. And we can bundle any number of those types of eligibility or accountability criteria together. So that's really what HATS provides, a way for organizations to manage themselves and give their contributors the roles and accountabilities they need to do great work.
Very cool. Yeah, I think the way that we cross paths is, so HATS is a protocol for roles and permissions and accountability in organizations. Unlock is a protocol for memberships and subscriptions, and it's a way of using on-chain capabilities to know if somebody is a member of a group or a member of really any kind of organization, as well as be able to do subscriptions. And those can be free, but in an increasing number of cases, those are paid as well. And so the interesting thing when Unlock, the protocol, was in development was the realization that, if we look back at 2021, thereabouts, there was a lot of buzz around, if you held this, NFT, you were a member of, community X. And what people started to realize pretty quickly was, this is really potentially problematic from a long-term point of view for a couple of different reasons. One is once you had that NFT, you were a member of that thing forever. And so you got access to all of the roles and privileges and benefits and such as long as you held that NFT, as well as the fact that sometimes they could be transferred, sometimes they couldn't. And so, especially when you're trying to do real work, when you're trying to build a real organization that has a real purpose and a real mission, those things don't work. And so I think how we ended up crossing paths was there were a number of organizations out there that wanted this concept of a time-based membership or subscription-based membership and be able to integrate that concept with what you had built with hats. Is that pretty close?
Yeah, totally. It's one of the really common ways that people want to manage membership in their community, at different levels, is subscribe, and that could be like a podcast community or an artist community or any kind of general community. Maybe the first entry point is a membership fee that goes to the shared community treasury, which is collectively owned and managed, or subscription. As you're subscribing to this podcast community, that subscription also gets you access to the right communication channels. It gets you voting power in that community. It gives you the ability to elect folks to have signing authority to manage the treasury. And so, the fit between Hats and Unlock was pretty obvious there, and that's why we pursued it together.
Yeah, and that last example you gave is a very interesting one. So, at least for me, when I think about an organization, I think more of a group of folks who have gotten together. They're trying to build a business or do a thing, as opposed to this other use case you just gave, which is a little bit more in the creator economy side of things, where if you are a creator, you're a podcaster, what it sounds like is you're starting to see folks out there who are on that creator side of things. And what they're doing is they are setting up subscriptions to their creative community. And based on what type of subscription they have, they get access for some period of time to different aspects, privileges, benefits of that community.
Yep, exactly. I mean, Rehash is a good example. Web3 podcast Rehash. People subscribe to be part of the community, and as a result, they get voting power to decide who future guests should be. That's kind of an example I imagine that we're going to see replicated quite often. That rather than just being a consumer of the product or the thing that's being created, you're actually a co-owner in some way, and you're a contributor to it. You're actually shaping the future of the art that's being created, or the podcast guests, or the direction of the community and the leadership of that community as well. And the ability to have collectively owned resources and assets that aren't controlled just by an entrenched group of individuals, where you're subscribing to this community and it goes into the shared treasury. That's not just going into somebody's account or into a small group that will be there forever, but it's actually the community. Really, it's a collectively owned treasury, and the community as a whole is able to delegate the ability to specific groups to maybe have spend a portion of those funds for additional grants, or for branding and marketing work, or hold the primary treasury and to manage the rest of the community itself. So this is what we are really bullish on, is building structures and in these decentralized organizations so that people can actually get things done collectively, but in this collectively owned context where power isn't entrenched and rigid and captured by a few.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And putting that sort of subscription or time-based attribute on it gets really interesting, because again, that's, I think, in a lot of ways kind of new, or at least new-ish in the on-chain space. It's really started, folks have started to understand the importance and criticality of that time-based aspect. Really, I think over the last couple of years or so, before it was, just purely around I'm either in or out, but reality is super messy, and we have these other aspects that yes, if you do a thing, if you contribute in a particular way, either it could be monetarily, but it could also be based on your actual contributions or service to the community. Those are things that get you access to various hats, various roles. And at the same time, if either after a period of time or if you are no longer meeting those commitments that you agreed to and that are bound to that hat, that are bound to that role, then you're going to lose that role as well.
Yeah.
I know you all had put together on the hat side some background. We've been talking sort of theoretically here so far. Would it be useful to sort of go through how, sort of what this looks like when someone is getting a subscription, when somebody is signing up, when someone's getting a particular hat? I could either bring up your docs, or if you're able to do it from your side, maybe the folks on the stream would want to take a quick look at that.
Yeah, I can share screen here.
Yep.
So this is a look at, are you able to see that? All right.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect.
This is just on our website. We have a number of case studies, use cases, and then organizational case studies. Just for the visuals, some of the most common use cases that we've seen over and over again, because the protocol itself is quite unopinionated, and there have been lots of different experiments of how organizations have been using the protocol to solve real problems. And it's been almost 2 years of that type of experimentation now, and we're seeing a few core use cases really rise to the top that show up over and over again. And just to show the visuals behind this, what this actually looks like on chain and then in the UI, around collectively owned and controlled safes or multi-sigs, you can see that via hats, you can actually delegate and revoke signing authority on these safes to individuals or to groups. So Questbook, has a huge grants program for Arbitrum. They are distributing grants across 4 domains, and they have delegated the signing authority on the safes associated with those domains using hats, so that the person who's actually holding this hat, which is an ERC 1155 compatible token, but is non-transferable by the hat wearer or the holder of that role, actually gives them signing authority on the safe. And then they have a protection, so a program manager has to sign off on these transactions as well. And you could add in veto conditions and things like that. So signing authority on safe is one. Second really common use case is fully on-chain elections. So rather than having a group do an off-chain snapshot vote and then somebody have to read the election results and kind of manually give those folks the powers that the community is assigning, you could actually do this in a trust minimized way, so that the community as a whole is actually electing people into specific powers, like control of specific safes. So you can see Purple, which is a DAO that's advancing the Farcaster ecosystem. They have elected a group to a security council, which gives these folks signing authority, but limited signing authority on the safe that just gives them veto power over specific proposals to guard against malicious proposals. And they've also elected specific directly responsible roles like grants chair and a revenue chair, in this case through joke race, but can be any type of on-chain election or an off-chain election that can be brought on-chain. But the person who finished first in this joke race then is the one who is able to hold this revenue chair role, which gets them signing authority on safe and gets them compensated for that role, as well as what other permissions you want to layer on top of that. And then the third really common use case that then will show how Unlock fits into here is workspace access and management. So this could be things like requiring somebody to sign an on-chain agreement. That could be a legal agreement or community agreements or a charter before they're able to hold a specific role and get entry into the community. It could be things like holding a minimum amount of tokens. So Optimism Fractal, for example, they have one role where you have to sign an on-chain agreement to be Fractalgram certified, which means you've passed certain onboarding criteria. So you can actually sign this agreement on chain and you get the role associated with that, which is you can see 48 different wearers or holders of this role. And then as folks gain Optimism Fractal, which is like a reputation kind of currency in the community, then they would be eligible to claim this role, Rising Star. And if somebody has both of these roles, then they can be a respect game leader, which comes with more authorities, more responsibilities in the community. So you can see how you can create these kind of leveling up processes in the community. And we've done that ourselves as an open source protocol. We are actively decentralizing. It needs to be a credibly neutral protocol that is governed by a DAO ultimately. And we have 3 primary roles. As people get engaged, they join the community by signing an agreement. That gets them access to a Telegram group and a Charmverse workspace. As they get more involved, they become a contributor, which gives them more and more permissions and powers, and then a steward, which actually gives them governance power in this proto DAO. And so where you can layer on unlock then to say, I want to have a specific role that I'm going to attach a recurring subscription. I have to pay every few months or every year to continue to hold this role. And as it expires, then you lose your role until you renew your subscription. Or it could be like a one-time membership fee, just entry point into the community. And I can show you how we actually add this to a specific role.
Yes, please. That'd be awesome.
Hats, this looks like kind of your typical organization structure, and you've seen this in the other examples that I was showing too. Of course, if you want to be a little bit more DAO native, you can actually flip the tree to show that the root of the tree is the collective. So if I show Rare DAO, for example, here, just to orient you to this. So this is Rare DAO's structure, and they have the DAO as a whole, which is the DAO contract here, and then the Rare DAO Council, which then has some admin authority. They're able to create and change some of these different roles underneath it. And then they have a grants committee, which is elected grants committee members and a grants committee chair. So you can see it's like a tree and it branches out from here, right? And so if we wanted to create a role, and this is just an example tree, that it has an unlock subscription to it. So in edit mode, anybody can do this, can come in and create new roles in their organization, and then export the changes that they've made and send it to the collective or to the DAO, and then give people, the DAO, the ability to pass a proposal that actually executes this on chain. So for example, in Rare DAO's tree here, I could add new roles, but these are not deployed on chain yet. So it's not real, but these are draft changes, and I could export this, and people with appropriate admin powers, which are holding other roles in this tree, would then be able to deploy them on chain. So that's just a quick orientation to these structures. But here's how we would add a new role. So let's say this is a monthly membership role. So we can add things like we can change the image for this role, we can add description, have a max supply. So what's the max number of people who could hold this role? Say 10,000. You can add the wearers via their addresses here, set specific responsibilities, tie them to specific authorities, like I was sharing before, actually the real hard powers and authorities that they have across the internet. And then what are the conditions upon which this role will be granted or revoked by somebody? And the deactivation and reactivation is what are the conditions where this role is deactivated for all wearers? Because if you've seen, for example, in our community member role, there are 591 folks who are holding the HATS community member role and have access to our Telegram group and our Charmverse. So you can have lots of different people holding one specific role, like this monthly membership role. But here we're going to add a module, and a module is like an extension for a given role. And these are the types of things we can say you have to sign an agreement, or you have to be on an allow list that's managed by another group, or we have to pass a humanity test, or we have to be wearing another hat or holding another role, even in a different organization. We have to win an election or a joke race. We have to stake a certain number of tokens, or we have to hold a certain number of tokens. And the moment we're ineligible across any of those conditions, again, the role is revoked and the power is automatically revoked. So you can add a lot of automation throughout the organization. We're trying to bring the A back into DAOs, right? Decentralized, autonomous organizations, actually automating the roles and permissions across the organization. But here we have subscription eligibility. And so we can set a specific period upon which the subscription renews, let's say 3 months. what is the token that we're going to use? This is USDC, so that's just the token address. Let's say, I'm just going to put just one USDC every 3 months, and maximum 10,000 people can pay this subscription. This is one of my wallet addresses, but this is the lock manager. So this could also be a multi-sig. This is who is able to change the specifications of this lock, and also be able to withdraw the payment that's sent to this lock. So you could send it directly to a treasury, for example, or multi-sig, and then lock name. I'll just say monthly subscription. And then lastly, do we want this hat to be claimable by those who are paying the subscription? Yes, I do. And should we enable somebody else to claim this hat on behalf of somebody who's paid the subscription? That's just more, so really flexible. So I'm going to just say yes for that by default. We can deploy this. Do it right now. So right now we're deploying this module on chain. Once it's deployed, we are going to save and deploy the changes to this particular hat. All right, so the subgraph is updated. There we go. That module has just been deployed on chain. All right, we're going to save. We're going to go back. Now I'm going to grab this module address, and one interim step here, I need to actually mint that module address to this automations hat here, so that there is an admin in this structure that is able to grant and revoke the hat from wearers of the monthly subscription hat. So I'm just going to add that there. I'll save, and then we'll be able to deploy both of these changes. And what this is going to do is automatically create a claim page specific for that hat that is plugged in, that integrates with Unlock Protocol that's managing the subscription. And then I'll go into that claim page. You'll see how that works. Now people can pay the subscription and claim the hat, and then how we can go into Unlock Protocol and continue to manage the lock from there. So here we go. Okay, that transaction was successful. You can now open up this particular role, and we can pay the subscription. So I'm going to open this up. This is the claim page that's been automatically created here. So I'll approve 2 quarters here. So 2 intervals of 3 months. Setting that approving for Unlock. Once it's accepted, it's going to show I've paid the subscription. If we refresh, it's going to say paid. But now I'm able to claim this hat. So I can claim the hat. And if we had already tied this hat to, for example, access to certain Discord channels or Telegram channels or workspace access in Fileverse or Charmverse, then folks will be able to access those immediately upon claiming this hat. So I have the hat. I can view the hat here. All right, so you can see I am wearing this particular role, and then, for example, if this was the Hats community member hat, we'd be able to then link out directly to the Charmverse and the Telegram, and they'd be able to access those directly via the role. So going back here, now in Unlock, we can open up Unlock, and I'll connect with. Here we go. This is it. Once every quarter, you can see here's the subscription that we just created. I added myself as the lock manager here, and so we'd be able to withdraw the balance that was paid, and this could go into a community treasury. So that is kind of that's the whole flow here, and this would be the claim page then that you could send directly to community members or whatnot, and they'd be able to interact with Unlock Protocol and claim the hat directly from here.
Amazing. Two questions. So as you're going through and setting up that subscription, in this example, you used USDC. Could a DAO or an organization or group, if they had their own, say, native token as in ERC20, could they price that particular membership? Could they price that subscription in an arbitrary ERC20, especially in the cases of their own? They want folks to be sort of earning things in the community and using that to get access to particular privileges and benefits and community.
Great call. Yeah, it can be any token. So it could be the community's token, could be even an NFT, It could be a reputation kind of point system that you use. But yeah, any token, just use the contract address of the token, plug it in, set the subscription period. So yep, absolutely.
Super cool. And then the other thing that really leaps out to me is that everything that we saw over the last few minutes here, this is all native, completely skinned, integrated part of the experience that Hats has set up. So you were able to take the underlying technology of Unlock Protocol, which is another open source protocol, connect into the pieces that you needed, but this is you 100% manage the experience for the end user.
Yep, exactly. So they can continue to manage the lock from the Unlock Protocol side. They can set up the lock from the Hats Protocol side and add people, get people into roles there. But completely on chain. And here's the contract itself that's interacting with Unlock Protocol.
Amazing. And I know Julian from the Unlock Labs team did some sort of advising, but you all did most of this integration. Can you talk through sort of what that experience was like? How long did it take? And really, what was the sort of developer experience from your team side as they were working through this process?
Yeah, I mean, it was great working with the Unlock team. It's nice when you have so much alignment, and there was really great communication between the teams, and that both protocols are fully on chain really makes this possible. I think it's the kind of beauty of Web3 that these types of things can be so composable, and really wanted to demonstrate that. And so Julian helped scope it out, figure out the different kind of conditions around it. We had our developers help create the module, which was the kind of extension on the role. And one thing about modules is anybody can come in and build a module that provides an extension to Hats or extension to the roles, and that reads any type of other on-chain data. And we have SDKs for that. We have module templates to make that easy for builders. And then any builder can use that module in their own community right away, or they can submit it to the Hats modules registry, which is curated by the Hats ProtoDAO, which then once it's verified and approved, would then show up directly in the Hats app and any other app that wants to use the registry to use those types of modules for their own roles. Because Hats doesn't have to just exist in the Hats UI. Hats is the roles permissions layer, and any other app can integrate Hats for their roles and use the library of modules there. So our team developed the module, and then the ProtoDAO approved the module and then had it show up in the UI, and then it just works. Yeah, and do encourage any builders or anybody interested in kind of building extensions for roles in their own community or any types of these automatable eligibility conditions to check out the Hats protocol docs and use the module SDKs.
Amazing. About how long did the integration and that build of the module take?
I think with testing and whatnot, about a month. But with kind of if that was the only thing that we were doing or that both teams were doing, it'd be a lot faster.
Awesome. So we had so it's measured in weeks, not months to do that. And question here. So question I had after yesterday, can I embed the Hats tree directly in my own project's website? So can somebody share a real-time view of the folks who have various roles and permissions in their org?
This is a cool idea. No, we don't have a way to do the embed yet, but I could totally imagine that being possible. In a previous career, I used to make maps of organizations using kind of network mapping, social network analysis,
Nice.
and we're able to embed those directly in organization sites. So I could see that totally being possible. For now, you can just use the link, and anybody can access the link, and that you could link directly to the organization's structure as a whole, or to the direct roles, or to the specific claim pages. That's what we recommend for now.
Very cool. And yeah, I mean, this is an incredible integration and just such a great, specific use case, but I think a really phenomenal generalizable use case of why it makes sense to do open stuff on chain, because you do have these various parts of the system out there, and you've got various ways of connecting them, but it's pretty straightforward. And again, this is a case where two real legit projects that have been building independently for a while and putting all of the scaffolding and infrastructure in place to be able to do these kinds of integrations when the need arose from the community, able to just go ahead and do it. And again, the permissionlessness of this is a big aspect of it, both on the build side, but also on the usage side as well. Yeah. So if there are other questions from the community, definitely drop those in the chat, and those will get promoted out here. And while we're seeing if there's anything else from the stream, David, anything else you want to share?
I guess I could just show the sort of HATS stack here. If I share my screen, let me share my screen one more time.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, I had a comment on the stream from Wasabi Network, just noticing and noting that this is why protocols matter, and why protocols and platforms are two completely distinct although related concepts. And so a true open source extensible protocol, these are the types of things that folks can do.
Yeah, totally. It's that's one of my favorite things about Web3 is the sort of composability and the permissionlessness and interoperability of all these different things, so we can tie these together, create real ecosystems around this. So this is I just wanted to share. So it's like the HATS protocol stacks. We have the protocol itself.
And I don't think we're seeing your screen right now.
Okay, let's see. Let me try this again. In any case, I could just talk through it if we can't see it. How about
there we go. Yep, okay. We are good.
Sweet. So at the base layer is the protocol itself. That's unupgradable, permissionless, and open source. And then the subgraphs, and then the SDKs. And we've built a number of different SDKs for builders: core SDKs, module SDKs, subgraph. And then on top of that, we have different data standards and then applications. And like I said, any application can use HATS as roles and permissions layer underneath and take advantage of then all the different modules that are in that module registry, which you see in the lower right too. We have the module factory that makes it easy for folks to spin up and create modules along with the modules SDK. It's curated by the modules registry, which is curated by the decentralizing HATS ProtoDAO. And so we've really wanted to make an ecosystem here that's easy for builders to create more and more features and extensions for roles that are useful for organizations to plug in. And this article it tells all about HATS modules, like the one that was created to enable this integration between HATS and Unlock. Just search HATS modules on Google or whatever search engine. It'll be the first one that come up, or you can go to the blog at blog.hatsprotocol.xyz.
Fantastic, thank you. And similarly, if folks are interested in learning more about Unlock Protocol, building on top of the protocol in the way HATS has, you can go out to unlock-protocol.com, get some background that the Unlock Labs team has put together, and then from there can dive into all the docs and tutorials and all of the other types of resources that are out there as well. And so with that, David, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. And, we've been on the Unlock Labs team super excited as this has evolved over the past couple of weeks and months at this point, post build. And just, thank you. And thank you to the HATS team for building this stuff out. And thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks to the Unlock Protocol team as well. Thanks to everybody who's been watching this. We have a video tutorial and guide in our docs.hatsprotocol.xyz for setting up this particular module, but also happy to help get this set up for you and help get your roles and permissions set up as well. You can DM me at DAVEHRLICHMAN. So it's just DAV and then my last name on Telegram, or reach out to us at hq@hatsprotocol.xyz on email, and it'll help you get set up.
Perfect. And same on this side. Unlock Protocol is Unlock Protocol on X and on Warpcast. And if you want to reach out to me directly, at ccarfy on all the things. So, David, thank you again so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time today, and I hope the wind dies down for you a little bit.
Yep. Thanks.